Marine biology fact of the day. So today we're going to be learning about the Japanese giant spider crab, also called the Japanese spider crab. These guys are fucking huge. They are enormous. They can stretch 18 feet from tip of the claw to the tip of the other claw, and those arms pack a serious punch. They are complete muscle, and their claws are easily capable of cutting through fingers and hands, so don't fuck with them. However, you probably won't run into them because they live about 1,000 feet below the surface of the ocean, and you usually don't ever come in contact with things that live that deep. Now, why are they so big? We're not really sure, but part of it is deep sea gigantism, and the other part is crabs grow as long as they live, and these guys can live to be over 100 years old. So they're the longest living crab, and the max size we ever saw was about 42 pounds and 18 feet across, and he was only 40 so years old, so imagine how big a 100-year-old crab would get. Crazy. These guys are insane, and they probably will live longer than us, so boom. Marine biology fact of the day. Today we're going to be learning about the pink river dolphin. Yes, there are dolphins, and they are pink, and they live in the Amazon River basin and the Orinoco River. They get to about 8.2 feet long. The boys are slightly bigger than the girls, which is some sexual dimorphism, and the boys are on average much pinker than the girls. Now, they eat almost anything. They actually eat over 43 different species of fish, not including crabs and freshwater turtles. They even eat piranhas, so you know they're tough as fuck. These guys can actually live a very long time in captivity. However, it is actually bad to keep dolphins in captivity, especially these guys. Their average lifespan in captivity is only 33 months, although there is one in Germany that lived to about 40 years. Now, these guys are very different from their oceanic counterparts. They're pink, but also they have no fused cervical vertebra, which allows them to turn their head 90 degrees, and their flippers are also not fused to their body, allowing for increased maneuverability in the flooded underwater forest that usually is the Amazon during the rainy season. These guys are actually very social and very intelligent creatures that need a lot of space, and they also do not need us polluting the Amazon River. Yes. Most disturbing ocean parasites. This is called the silver pearlfish. This is probably the grossest one I'm going to talk about because he lives inside the anuses of sea cucumbers, where sometimes he eats their organs and their bodies from the inside out because he burrows inside of their butts. Nature is fucked. This is called the tongue-eating isopod. It's a type of marine crustacean that literally eats the tongues of fish and then takes their place, either sucking the blood out or eating food particles from what the fish eat themselves. This is a boy crab infected with something called rhizocephalans, which are a disturbing type of parasitic barnacle that basically causes a crab's boy parts to melt away and then swell up like girl parts, and then they are filled with tiny parasitic barnacles, and then they rupture and the crab dies and gives birth. This is called the copepod, and it's a type of parasite that loves to feast on the eyes of the Greenland shark. Yes, from birth, these guys are blind, and they can live to over 400 years in complete blindness because these things like to eat out their entire eye. Disgusting.
Can you make that rumbling sound in your ear? It sounds kind of like this. If you can't do it, it's gonna sound crazy, but I can kind of tense this muscle right in the ear canal, and like I'm doing it now, and it sounds like wind going through a tunnel, or like a little bit of thunder, like windy thunder. I always thought that everyone could do this, but apparently not. So if you can or you can't, leave a comment below.
Into the unknown. Into the unknown.
Weird medical facts. We're born with only two natural fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud sounds. All other fears and phobias are acquired or learned later in life. The tongue is the only muscle in the body attached from one end only. All other muscles are fully attached at two ends. Sleep literally cleanses your brain. When we sleep, more cerebrospinal fluid flushes through the brain to wash away the day's worth of harmful excess proteins and toxins.
Ata kau tahu tak unta kadang-kadang dia akan keluarkan macam belon dekat tepi mulut dia. Okey, jap. Ni gambar yang lagi jelas. Nampak tak? Dia macam ada belon dia kata. Mana? Dia macam ada belon dia kata. Tangan kenapa peluk sini? Yang paling bestnya bunyi waktu diorang keluarkan belon tu macam dinosaur. Itu bukan lidah dia orang tau. Itu adalah satu benda yang dipanggil sebagai dula. Ni dula tu, ni lidah dia kat dalam. Dula ni sebenarnya dikeluarkan oleh unta ni untuk mencari pasangan. Maksudnya dia tengah lonely. Atau kau hari kita cakap pasal kenapa nyamuk makan darah kita. And siapa yang kemungkinan besar akan kena gigit nyamuk berdasarkan sains. Awak kena faham, kita ada nyamuk betina and nyamuk jantan. Bentuk dia sama je, saja saya buat muka macam tu supaya korang faham. Sekali letak topi kat muka orang. And dua-dua nyamuk ni sebenarnya dia makan pokok. Well, nektar pokok. Dia sedut pokok tu punya darah lah, makanan dalam flower worm tu. Tapi bila waktu si betina ni nak mula bertelur, dia perlukan protein tambahan. Jadi apa yang dia buat? Nyamuk betina ni ada preference tak nak makan darah siapa? Ada! Yang pertama, orang yang berdarah O lebih senang digigit nyamuk. Orang yang sedang berpeluh ataupun sedang panas sedang digigit nyamuk. Dan orang yang sedang mengandung suka juga digigit nyamuk.
You're labeling the what?
I'm labeling the DNA structures based on the CATG standards.
Okay.
So the green one is C, that is cytosine.
What is cytosine?
Cytosine is, cytosine along with guanine and adenine and thymine are all basically amino acids that are built in as basically building blocks to build the DNA structure.
Okay.
So if you see any nicks around the DNA center, that represents that there's a phosphate backbone. So it's negatively charged. It's negatively charged. So you will see like a little kink at each side, thus creating this helix, double helix structure.
Okay. So, you created that on your own.
This shrub is super metal. No, literally, it's a rare metal-hoarding plant whose bluish-green sap, when dried out, is 25% nickel. That's 10 times more nickel than the typical nickel-containing ore found in nickel mines. In fact, these plants are actually planted in abandoned nickel mines to take the leftover nickel out of the soil, which keeps the toxic metals from leaching into waterways and makes the land viable for other uses like farming. And these metal-hoarding plants are even planted in particularly nickel-rich land, then harvested and processed to extract enough metal to return a profit.